Hello. This month, February 2024, marks 3 years since the live conversations came to be. These conversations are direct, two-way, highly evidential conversations between loved ones here on the earth plane and their loved ones in spirit. It's been quite a journey these last 3 years, but it didn't start in February 2021. It actually started before then. In August 2020, my son left me a voice memo. He created the voice memo, he said my name, and then he saved it with the title of X. And I didn't link it initially to what had happened 2 days after he passed in May 2019. My team in spirit left a voice message for me, a transmission for Tommy. Have a listen.
Transmissions for Tommy. Just check up your buddy from online. Just wanted to check and make sure everything was okay. If you could give me a shout back, you know what's up. Thanks. Bye.
Now you may have heard at the end, they actually said, we now drop X. They were leaving a message for my son. And I think the time between that initial phone call and the voice message and what Tommy left on my voice memo app on my phone, in that period between, I think I was being developed and prepared for what was going to come next, and also they were developing and preparing their end. So when I did hear that voice memo from Tommy whispering my name, I was stunned and delighted that it was there. He went on to leave another one and another one. In fact, one of those I actually caught him in the act. I was walking between 2 rooms, swinging my phone. I looked at it, the voice memo app was open and it was recording. As soon as I said it was recording, I stopped. I whispered a hi, and Tommy responded, hey. So that was the beginning. I went in my garden then and I instigated these sort of messages myself, and he would respond. From there, it was a case of I must be doing some sort of EVP here, electronic voice phenomena. I wasn't that familiar with it, but this is what it sounded like. My mental mediumship was already opening. I was able to bring people in spirit to me to communicate. And that's how I thought I might be able to help people bring their loved ones in spirit to me and create messages, recorded messages through my phone. But it wasn't fitting the mold of any EVP experience that I've ever heard of or read. In the first instance, when I was outside and recording, I could hear through my mental mediumship what the loved one in spirit was saying in my mind. And then when I finished recording and I brought it back in here, what I'd heard them say is what was on the recording. From there, sometimes I would reach out in my garden and their words would break through into the air. So I wouldn't just be hearing them in my mind. I could hear them objectively, and I was capturing that voice with my phone voice memo app that I was using to record. And then other things evolved. I would record for someone, say a child in spirit. I'd come in here, I'd listen to the recording. They would talk about something in that recording, and then I'd listen back to it the next day and they were saying something completely different. I didn't know what to make of it. I know that sometimes when I was listening to these sound waves, I could hear so much. And I actually wrote at the time, I felt as if I was entering a vast sea of consciousness. It was just amazing. And things continued to evolve late on in that year. Not only was I hearing the messages change that I was listening to, but they started becoming relevant to my current life now. And I realized it was my team. I got used to their energy coming through at the same time, my team and how they sounded, and likewise my son. they started giving me current messages when I was playing these sound waves that I was making from the environmental sounds in my garden. And then I took the brave leap. And I tell you, it felt very strange doing it. But one day, as they said something current to my life, I asked them a question. And then I played the sound wave again, and they answered. They responded with an answer. I'd been heard, and they were responding. And I'd ask another question, and they'd respond. I was just blown away. And I didn't tell anybody about this for weeks. I mean, people would just think I'd gone a little, crazy with my grief, was hearing things and so on. So I kept it to myself. But then I was wondering, as I do with all the things that I do, surely can I use this? Could I possibly use this to bring through children, especially children, to speak to their parents here? And I mulled that over a couple of days. And I took my phone, hit record in my garden, and I asked my team if it was possible. Listen to their reply now.
This sound wave communication that I can do with you and play it back over and over again is phenomenal. And the way we have a two-way conversation through it. Is that something that I could do potentially with children? I could, as parents, I could make a recording with them and then connect with them and try and repeat questions being asked in real time from their parents. Is it something that could be done, or isn't it something to be done?
I was stunned when I heard them say absolutely with my ears in real time. I was lost with all the implications of what it meant that I would be able to do. And I'm afraid I went into a bit of a daze for about 24 hours. I kept playing the recording, absolutely. And the following day, I went to the local bookstore, Barnes and Noble, and as I came out and went back to my car, once again I played the recording and sat there in amazement. And as I turned to, as I'm reversing out of the parking space, I turned, and the car window opposite me was a big banner, and it said, "Just do it." And it hit me between the eyes, and I knew it was a message from my team. So I chuckled, I took a photo of it, and then I drove home. Message received loud and clear. But when I got home, I went back to look at the picture I'd taken, and much to my amazement, and I shouldn't be so amazed these days, they had taken a screenshot when I was sat in the car of the recording, the absolutely recording. I certainly wouldn't have done it. Why would I? I'd played that recording many times in that 24-hour period. Why would I take a screenshot? They took a screenshot just to reinforce it was them that was giving the message of to roll my sleeves up and get on with the task in hand. And you'll note from the picture that the time of that screenshot is 4:44. It's one of the numbers my team use with me, and a great validation. And so yeah, that's what I did. It took me a couple of days to arrange things. I reached out to a mum that I knew very well, who had a son in spirit, a young child, and we held the first live conversation. Since then, I've held hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of live conversations. The majority I've held online, but in this third year, I travelled and I started doing them with the person sitting next to me, so they can see the screen, they can see the sound wave that is being used for their loved one to talk, that it doesn't change in any shape or form, that you're hearing outside of what the computer is showing. It's been quite a journey. Every age has come through from the unborn, I think, and the oldest one was, when they passed, was well over 100, 103 maybe, 104. And also every type of passing, from illnesses to accidents to murder, addiction, suicide. All types of passing have come through. And can you imagine what it's like to have a conversation, to be able to ask why, how, what's it like where you are, how are you trying to communicate, fill them in on news, get your validations of current time evidence and so on. Not everybody can hear the responses. Some people can actually hear the voices of their loved ones. The vocal tone is the same. Others can hear, but the vocal tone isn't similar. The majority of people hear some of it, but not all of it. It's all frequency based, and just a handful, a very small number, hear nothing at all, which means I'm relaying on a continuous basis what I'm hearing. It's all objectively heard. Nothing is coming through my mind. It's objectively, it's heard between me and the parent, and sometimes, or the parent or other person here who's having the conversation. Sometimes they will hear before I do, and I love that when that happens. So many by this third year, many people have had multiple conversations, and I love how they build on each other, just like you would expect a phone call to. Simply wonderful. So to celebrate this third anniversary, I'm creating a presentation using the conversations, I think 7 in total, that have occurred with a little boy called Dylan. His mum's helping me with this. We're putting it together jointly, and it's going to be wonderful. It'll show his journey through the conversations and what's possible in them, and it's extraordinary, and I'm really looking forward to sharing it. I have to say, to finish, how very grateful, how honoured I am to be doing what I'm doing. I never looked to do this. It was brought to me, and I try and do my best by it. And it's a huge honour to be a part of every conversation. 3 years on, they still have the wow factor for me. They're wonderful.